You're not Natty. This revokes Will Tennyson's Natty card officially for competing in the Olympics and so on.
Previously on Coach Greg.
Coach Greg, and in today's video, we're going to be exploring legal performance enhancers. Those are items that you can take to help you build muscle, recover better, and so on, but that they're still legal, but that maybe you shouldn't do it.
Moving on, IV drip. I drip, you drip, we drip.
I'm looking for an IV drip.
And so next up, something I also have experience in. I pretty much have experience in anything. Remember, I'm 49, I'm pushing 50. 50 keys of Turk across the border. We've got it from Uzbekistan. It's not the copycat plant known as Cyanotus arachnoidea. It sounds like a friggin' arachnophobia. I don't know. It ain't no spider. We got the good stuff from Uzbekistan, and it's probably sold out again. But anyway, keep going there. Click a link, click a button, get notified when it comes back in, so that you can actually get it and it won't be sold out, hopefully in the future.
I'm looking for an IV drip.
Yep.
That's going to give me the best workout of my life.
Okay.
The best pump of my life. That still keeps me natural and doesn't get me addicted.
Okay.
In that priority.
Awesome.
Can you help me with that?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The first thing is she's lying. It doesn't just automatically make you have a better workout. Oh, I promise creatine works. Well, yeah, the research supports this, but not every single person noticed it work. When I surveyed over 100,000 people about the benefits of creatine, 50%, half, said they didn't notice anything. And so despite how promising, it didn't just automatically work. What about Cialis, Viagra? Do you think every person experiencing erectile difficulty is going to be prescribed this and bam, it's fixed, perfect? No. And so she's sitting there saying, yeah, it's going to help, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. It might help, it might do these things, but you know what she really lied about? You're not Natty. This revokes Will Tennyson's Natty card officially for competing in the Olympics and so on. The guy who competed, I don't know his name, he ended up in some drunk driving accident or something like that, I remember. He was basically Michael Phelps' main competition. He did this exact thing. He posted about it on Instagram and he got a 1-year ban from competing. Y'all remember that? Or was it 2 years? Was it 3 months? Point is, he was banned. If you are competing in the Olympics and you see this, don't just go and do it and post about it on Instagram. Now listen, if you do it in the privacy of your own home, they're not going to find out. But if you post about it on YouTube, on Instagram, and you're a famous athlete, I don't want to see anyone get banned for watching a video.
Will I have like one of the best pumps of my life?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Promise?
Yes.
Pinky promise?
Yes.
Will Tennyson just took Cialis. Will it give me the best pump of my life? Compared to Cialis? Maybe, but you can't just guarantee it.
That still keeps me natural.
It's banned. Any IV injection above 50 mLs, it's banned. You just can't do it. And so if you want to keep your Natty status while competing, you can't do this. It would be considered cheating according to WADA. But there's cheating according to WADA and cheating according to Greg. I don't think it's cheating. If you want to use this, you can use it. But remember, I think WADA doesn't want it so that people go and do this every single day. Imagine every day before going to the gym, you do an IV. Perhaps it takes an hour. Do we really want to have to resort to going to this level to have an advantage over your opponent? If it takes this much work, perhaps they just want to prevent people from having to go to these kind of extremes to keep a level playing field. And so I paused at 17 minutes in the video so that we could see exactly what are they going to administer and put inside of Will Tennyson. And in this case, it's a hypotonic solution. Hypo, the opposite of hyper. And so it has less osmoles or solutes than your blood would already contain. This should not be given to Will. And so the blood vessels, they now have more fluid inside of them. Think of it, they just administered fluid into his blood vessels through an IV. And so what happens is cerebral edema. That is in fact swelling of the brain. This can lead to seizures, confusion, loss of consciousness, exactly like how Togi appears to be. And so we don't want that. We don't want to end up looking like Togi. B79. When you're doing these things, it's not as if it's 100% risk-free. There are, in fact, some dangers, and perhaps that's why the WADA doesn't want people to actually do this. Rather than being a hypotonic solution, it should be an isotonic solution. Would that not make sense? Really is that simple. Will appears to be getting 500 cc's, not in his breast, or not breast implants, 500 cc's in his veins. Now you might be thinking, that's nothing, I can handle 500 cc's. Imagine when you donate blood. You donate 500 cc's. People are passing out. They have weakness. It's not all that easy. They are told you have to eat a cookie, candy, and so on. But imagine you're doing the opposite. Now, imagine you're not as healthy as Will. Will has excellent functioning kidneys. And you do this, and you're already hydrated. And now you're hyperhydrated. You have extra water, too much water. What do you think the body's going to now have to do? Of course, it's going to get rid of that water because Will has a properly functioning physique. So he's going to go to the bathroom over and over again. Now, this is something I did in my past. Perhaps you didn't know this. I once weighed in for a powerlifting competition and I took 3 of these bags. 3 times 500 cc's. I had dehydrated over 20 pounds of water. That is a lot, over 10% dehydration. But do you know what ended up happening? I continued to pee, had diarrhea. And on top of that, my hands began to swell. Had extreme swelling of the hands, and when I competed in the powerlifting competition, I couldn't perform the deadlift. I couldn't hold on to the bar. My hands were too swollen. This was from trying to hydrate too much. And so just because it appears to be healthy, oh, you're dehydrated, we're going to give you an IV bag, it doesn't mean that it actually is. And so what I did is actually very dangerous. Didn't know it at the time, but by playing doctor, adding in liters of fluid into your arteries, veins, and so on, it's not safe, nor is dehydrating over 20 pounds. Now remember, I've retired from this, but what damages have I done? Perhaps I'm lucky, fortunate that I had a very healthy body. But if you're not that healthy, perhaps you never chose your parents and you got parents that had horrible genetics. Or perhaps you're abusing recreational drugs, alcohol, and so on. You never know. You might be sick. If you do this under those circumstances, things could end up a lot worse. And so what this clinic essentially did is a fluid challenge on Will Tennyson. Now, if he wasn't so healthy, he had malfunctioning kidneys and so on, they perhaps would have had to give him Lasix to get rid of this water. But because he's healthy, well, things turned out very good. But for the average person who perhaps doesn't know if they're healthy or not, I don't recommend it. And remember, Will is 100% natural. Many people doing these things, they're bodybuilders and so on, they're on steroids. And what do you think steroids does to your kidneys and or recreational drugs? Well, just ask Togi. Do you really think it's healthy? And so a lot of people looking for these advantages, they're competitive athletes and so on, these athletes are on steroids. These athletes, because they're on steroids, have kidneys that don't work properly. And so if you go to these clinics, be careful. If you want to do what Will's doing, but essentially do it while being 100% natural, remember, you can't do this according to WADA. Why don't you become an athlete, a cardio athlete? Do you know what that allows you to do? It increases plasma volume. And so Coach Greg, racing bikes, why do you think I appear so vascular? Aside from having 8% body fat, it's because I'm doing cardio. Cardio improves my plasma volume. And so in essence, I'm doing what Will's doing, but I'm doing it by doing cardio. And so the pumps that Will's getting from doing this, I get it every day. Why? Because I'm doing my cardio. And so if you want to save on the hundreds of dollars that it costs every day to do this, and so imagine several $100s done weekly, imagine how much you're spending in a year. You can purchase pre-workout and do your cardio. And not only does cardio help with this vascularization, allows you to be more vascular, get better pumps and so on, it's going to help you to live longer. And so please do your cardio.
I can feel the fluids releasing in me.
Yeah.
So is there anything about this that's not natural?
Yeah, no, it's not natural. It's actually banned by WADA. You can't do it. Now, remember, I'm not saying Will is a fake natty. I'm not saying any of these things. That would be bullshit. But if you are competing in drug-tested competitions in the Olympics, can't do this.
Arm pop measurement, 16 and a quarter was the measurement to beat.
Isn't it almost 18?
Yeah, we're almost at 18.
What?
Will is measuring his biceps after doing this, but what we really would have liked to have seen is his blood pressure. Remember, with this added plasma volume in your veins and arteries and so on, it's going to dramatically increase your blood pressure, and this is dangerous. You all know high blood pressure is bad, and by adding in more fluid into your vascular system, your blood pressure inevitably is going to go up. What Will did using IV fluid administration, it's very similar to if you took steroids. If you took D-bol, Superdrol, Anavar, and so on, A lot of these things make you have a very similar experience. For example, many people doing D-bol or DECA testosterone, they'll get a crazy back pump. The pump is so severe, you do one set of squats and you can't even finish your workout. And so although steroids can help you to build muscle, it's very difficult to get through a workout. And so if you abuse things, you take doses that are too high, it's not actually a great feeling.
So far, the IV drip and the baking soda beet juice are pretty on par.
And so some people may be wondering, how could that compare to steroids? Well, what this is doing is it's increasing the stroke volume and you're getting more blood to the body. And so when you flex the arm, when you're doing a set and so on, you have a crazy pump. Everyone knows that steroids causes a crazy pump. And so this does something similar. Now, I'm not saying it's anabolic in the same way. I'm simply saying the actual way you feel, aka the pump, that would be very similar. Please remember, now, although this is a great experience for Will that one time, just like partying harder than last time at a rave might be a great feeling on that night, if he was continuing to do this, it could eventually lead to heart failure. Remember, he'd be having constantly elevated blood pressure. This is not good. And so the trade-offs, it's definitely not worth it. And so if you, for example, did this once a week for a year, that would be a significant increase in your risk for having heart failure. Be careful.
What's the main difference between someone injecting an IV drip versus just a regular pre-workout?
We don't know the absorption at the end of the day when we take oral supplements. With the IV, we bypass everything. It goes right into your vein. We know you're getting 100% of it.
She's going on about how there's this and that inside of that fluid administration. Listen, if you take a regular pre-workout and it goes through the stomach, it's normal. The bioavailability, absorption, it's all normal. And so the benefit Will got, it's from the increase in stroke volume and plasma volume increase from having added in more water or fluids into his vascular system. And that's it.
Moana was good, but when I came home, I realized I had a quad pump, which was extremely weird because I didn't train legs. And it was also hours after my workout.
For the rare person out there who does this, it could in fact cause a problem. They might have to use Lasix. And so I don't recommend it, even though Will gives it an excellent rating. It would be like Togi giving Adderall laced with math a great rating. Yeah, it was fun, but you saw what it did to him. There you have it. I'm still going to recommend that the best supplements you can take are over the counter. I believe that Turk Max and GO2 Max, those are safe supplements that you can use, a lot safer than an IV drip or using Cialis and so on. And so I highly recommend it. Code Greg, 15% off. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. And until next time, I am out.